Welcome back to Nashira 2 in the middle of a heated planetary invasion during the War of 3039. This is a joint effort between the Federated Commonwealth and the 12th Vegan Rangers, a mercenary company that's very closely tied with the Commonwealth. Marshal Mira Tran here in the Centurion has been leading the Frist FedCom RCT side of it. Things have not gone well since they landed. Just recently, she decided to set off on her own and try to take down the leader of the planetary militia that's been giving them so much trouble. She botched the job, had to run away. The 12th Vegan Rangers had to come in and help her escape. And now she has to meet with her superiors who are going to make a decision on her involvement going forward. Let's listen in. Look, Mira, let me tell you, you're a great pilot, okay? One of the best. Tremendous talent. Everybody says so. But this situation we have here, it's a disaster, a total disaster. You went in there like a hero, very brave, very strong, but it didn't work out. It didn't work out. The enemy was waiting, and now we've got a mess, a big mess. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to send you off planet for some further evaluation. The best evaluation, top people, the greatest doctors and tacticians in the Commonwealth. They're going to take a look at you, figure out what's going on, because something's not right. Something's not right, Mira. You understand? It's not punishment. Nobody's saying it's punishment. We just need you evaluated. Believe me, when you come back, if you come back, you're going to be better than ever, much better. But right now, we need you to step aside. Let the professionals handle things. Thank you, Mira. You did a good job. Not great, but good. Now go pack your things. Welcome to Mission 3 of my custom BattleTech Aces campaign, the Battle of Nashira, part of the War of 3039. This is late in the Succession Wars era of BattleTech. The player force, the 12th Vegan Rangers Delta Regiment. This is a mercenary company. They got off to a bad start. They were called in to help the Frist FedCom RCT complete what should have been the very simple task of securing their landing zone and the spaceport in the city of Ogawa. That was kind of where they set down. It was just the basics of starting a military operation. Unfortunately, they didn't take the local militia very seriously and suffered heavy losses as soon as they left their dropship. The Rangers assisted on their second attempt. That was our first mission here in the campaign. But everything that could go wrong did. They ran into minefields. They got kamikaze by a vehicle. Their rifleman pilot, Bullseye, was killed by a PPC shot to the head from a Panther, the leader of the militia unit. Marshal Mira Tran, who you saw in the intro, the leader of the Frist FedCom RCT, decided to go off on her own, hunt down militia leadership. She got her lance mates killed, had to run for her life. She was able to find some refuge and wait for the Rangers. This time they were led by their commander, Colonel Mitch Nelson, and he helped to escort her back to safety. This was our second mission, the most recent one. The Rangers completely decimated the militia forces, sent them packing, got Marshal Tran back just in time to be relieved of her duty, as you saw. She was unbelievable in that mission, though. Just killed it on every single roll, but the damage was already done. Since then, the FedCom and 12 Vegan Rangers forces have taken control of the planet, and they're doing what you see here at this point. They've evolved into this police duty, with the locals being totally hostile to them. The planetary government is uncooperative, and so you see a lot of what's going on here. Patrolling a town, keeping the locals quiet as best they can. For the time being, the Federated Commonwealth is going to let the Rangers handle things while they deal with their leadership issues. But the Rangers are not used to peacekeeping duty. It's not what they do. They were expecting garrison forces weeks ago, but they've never arrived, so they haven't gotten their relief. They were supposed to springboard off of this planet and attack other systems that are nearby. But instead, this whole invasion has turned into a nightmare. So we are here on July 19th, 3039, and sensors have detected dropships in system. Unfortunately, they were not the Federated Commonwealth reinforcements. Rather, they were members of the 1st and 2nd Genyosha, ready to fight for their former home world. This is the home world of the Genyosha. Not so much anymore. They're not actively here, but they've heard about what's happening, and they've actually left where they were stationed to come back and take their home world. So that's where we begin this mission. We've got the 12th Vegan Rangers doing police duty here in this small town or city. They've got word that the militia forces are on their way yet again, and now they're hearing that there are dropships in system getting ready to touch down. We're going to play it out and see what happens. As for the forces, I'm just going to focus on the 12th Vegan Rangers. I'll show you a picture on screen here. We've got the Banshee coming back. with Colonel Mitch Nelson. He's gotten much more involved since the second track. He feels like he needs to be a constant presence to make sure things are going smoothly. He is in the BNC 3S. We've got a Jägermech, a JM6S. We've got a Dervish DV6M, a Hatchetman HCT 3F, an Enforcer ENF 4R, a Drillson hover tank, a Skulker wheeled scout tank. Yay, the Skulker's back! And a Warrior H7. We also have 2 points of infantry. They're mostly here for aesthetics, just to show that they're helping to keep the peace here in this town. As for the Nashira militia, they're going to have some of the familiar faces. The commander in his Panther is coming back. They've got a Demolisher, they've got a Galleon, and they've got a Warrior helicopter as well. And then we'll see what else comes down. All right, just as far as the mission setup, the objectives are very expensive in this track. It costs 1,000 support points to get in. Both sides have the same objectives in this mission. Number 1 is send them packing. This is their primary objective. This is worth 400 support points. And to do this, you have to force 75% or more of the opponent's units by point value off the battlefield. Each unit must be either destroyed or have escaped from their home edge. We are playing with forced withdrawal, so if those units become crippled, they will have to make their way off this way or off this way, depending on the side. A bonus objective is cut off the head, and this is worth 300 support points. This is to destroy the opponent's commander unit. So for the 12 Vagan Rangers, that is going to be the Banshee. I'll tell you who it is on the Draconis Combine side momentarily. Another bonus objective is clear the field, worth 200 support points. Destroy or cripple 100% of the opponent's force. So if you can clear out everything, you get a nice bonus there. And that's it. So you can earn up to 900 support points back. You may ask yourself, well, how do you advance in this campaign if you can't earn all your points back? Well, that's kind of the point with the original Chaos campaign system. It's a war of attrition. You're not going to grow and grow and grow into this huge unit. You can play it that way, but typically it's, for something like this, a single battle in one system, and eventually one side's going to wear down the other. So this is just representing that this war is extremely expensive, especially for the Federated Commonwealth. They're invading another planet. They can't do it forever. And this is just trying to simulate that. Can we overtake the Draconis Combine and wrest control of this planet, or can they wear us down to the point where it just doesn't make sense to continue and we leave? As far as this setup, both sides are going to split their force a bit. So we have this patrol force, or this garrison force, if you will, patrolling this city. That's where we're going to start. The Draconis Combine side also has a small force that is going to come on this side of the map in turn 1. They're going to move onto the map. In turn 2, we have a separate patrol unit, including Colonel Mitch Nelson, the commander, that can come onto the map on the bottom long edge or the top long edge. They can decide, but they will come onto the map in turn 2. And they have to come in on their half here. So this is going to be the 12th Vagan Rangers side. They have to come in on this half of the map. Reinforcements will be arriving for the Draconis Combine. There is a dropship that will land within 3 inches of their home edge, which is on this side, and that will be at the end of turn 2. Those units that are on there will be deployed and can begin moving on turn 3. So they'll be deployed and can participate in combat in turn 2, but they can't start moving until turn 3. We will be placing a destroy objective on our commander, the Banshee, so that's going to incentivize the ACES side, the Draconis Combine, to go after it for that bonus objective. And we are going to have the kamikaze rule in play. All defender vehicles, except the VTOLs, we're not doing VTOLs, will attempt to charge player units on their first movement instruction. In addition to normal charging damage, if they're successful, they can detonate explosives for 2 damage in a 2-inch area of effect. If they miss the charge, they can still attempt to detonate their explosives and deal damage. It'll just be a normal attack to do that. So basically that's just they veer off, they just miss something, but they just still try to detonate the explosives. We'll see if they manage to hit. It probably won't be quite as likely in this mission. They have some slower units, but it's still out there. If I'm careless and I get a little too close to them, they may try to bash into me and detonate their explosives. That will destroy their unit, but there's a very good chance it will also destroy mine. That's it. That's our mission. It's a little simpler than the other 2 I've run so far. Not using any waypoints in this one. I wanted it to be more of like a pincer style, large battle, just an all-out brawl. And I thought that was a good way to bring in the storyline where the Denyosha come back. That is part of the Battle of Nashira storyline in the lore. And I just thought this was a cool way to have them come in and just do a little bit of a mini surprise attack. I mean, I'm going to let you know how the mission is going to work, but it'll be somewhat of a surprise, at least to our units. All right, that's it. We're going to get started. I'm going to go ahead and roll up initiative. As I'm sure you can figure out, the green represent the 12th Vegan Rangers, the red represent the Draconis Combine. Here we go. All right, they win. We have to move first. I think we have 6 and they have 4, so we'll be moving 2 units at least at the start, and then they will be moving 4 units onto the map, and I will show you where they go and we'll summarize. All right, I'm going to have to use the freeform camera here to show you what happened because things are really tucking behind buildings. Basically, I just synced the first 2 infantry, just kind of move them toward the edge just to maybe get them in position to attack something. The aces came on with the Panther first. The Panther just wanted to tuck behind that big building and get line of sight to one of the infantry all by itself with cover to everything else. I then jumped the Enforcer over there by the trees to get a sight on it. And then I also moved the VTOL over. Sorry, there it is on top of the building. I moved that over to get line of sight to the Panther as well. Okay, rotating things a little here. Then the Galleon came on and wanted to hide. Also wanted the infantry. They all want it because it has no TMM. So they like to prioritize that. I moved the Drillson up this way next to that building to get line of sight on the Galleon, but to nothing else. They brought the Demolisher on and tucked it behind this building again to fire at that infantry. I moved the Skulker here to get line of sight with some cover on the Galleon. That Demolisher was a little bit of a concern, just making sure everything was out of sight of that because it can do a ton of damage. And then they brought the VTOL on to get behind, quote unquote, the infantry. That was literally the only instruction it had that I could follow, even though they don't really have behind necessarily. So I just threw it there, but it did want to get out of line of sight. I wanted to have like intervening stuff. So I just took it down to level 2 and put it behind that building. So nothing can really attack it except those infantry. All right, we're up first. Let's start with an easy one. These infantry are within 6 inches of the Galleon. They're going to go ahead and take a shot at them. Just going to need a 6 to hit them. Let's see if they can do 1 damage. Maybe they can get a crazy motive hit and take it out. Got it. 1 damage. Now I'm going to roll up a motive hit. Got a 5. That's nothing. All right, these infantry are just slightly outside of range on that Demolisher, so they're going to have to shoot at the VTOL, which has a super high TMM. Technically has a TMM of 3, but they get a +1 for being airborne. So there's going to be an 8 for them to hit. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can do it. They do it. They get a 1. All right. So the VTOL is going to take a motive hit. This is going to be a +2 to this roll. Ah, come on. Stupid infantry. All right, we got the Drillson up next. Eyeing down that Galleon over there. Wanted to get isolated line of sight to it. Protect itself from everything else. It was successful. Not great numbers, though, shooting through the woods. It's going to be 9s to hit that. Does 2 damage from medium range. Let's see what we can do here. I'd love to take this Galleon out. We've done it every mission. Ooh, but we're not going to do it with that kind of rolling. Ugh. All right, the Skulker crew's watching that Drillson miss everything, and they're like, watch us. We'll show you how it's done. Also going to attack that Galleon. Going to have the same numbers. Needs a 9 to hit it. Come on, Skulker. Can you come through for us? Of course you can. You're the Skulker. You guys are awesome. All right, another motive hit. Let's see if they can get one. They do. They do. They actually cut its movement in half and its TMM in half. That is good news. Way to go, Skulker. You guys seriously rock. I got a little too excited. It's not half movement. A 9 or a 10 is just -2 inches of movement and -1 TMM. Still good, but not quite as good as I thought. Our warrior is eyeing down the Panther. It has heard stories of this guy and is amazingly accurate PPC. Going to make 1 shot at it. Got a clear line of sight. Just going to need a 7 to hit it. Let's go, warrior. Take down this militia. Or not. All right, the Enforcer is going to take a shot at the Panther. Engaged in one-on-one combat. Wants an honorable duel. Well, unfortunately, it jumps, so yeah, not likely it's going to do a whole lot. Going to need 10s to hit. Oy. All right, I have faith. Does 2 damage from medium range. We can get something here. Come on, 10s. Wow, what did I tell you? We got 1. All right, 1 damage to the Panther. Not too bad. There we go. That's what we accomplished on this round. Took 2 pips from the Galleon. Gave it a light motive hit of -2 inches and -1 TMM. The Panther took a pip and the Warrior took a pip. I mean, it was some pretty cagey movement. Everything was hiding, so I'll take that. Not too bad. Although that Demolisher is going to become a problem here in a minute. All right, can't get behind the Panther, so I can't give you an action shot. But it wants the infantry. A lot of stuff's probably going to attack these infantry because they have no TMM. Just going to need 5s. That's all it needs. All right, 5s. Here we go. Oh, it actually missed 1. Got 1. Okay, so they have 2 armor and 1 structure, so that's just 1 pip of armor. Galleon is also going for the infantry. Just going to need 4, so it's in short range. I think we might see a lot of our infantry murdered right now. Holy cow. What did they roll on that red one? A 6. All right, these infantry are gone. See you later. It's okay. They're doing exactly what I wanted them to do. Shield us. All right, the Demolisher is up. The only thing they can see, as requested by their card, is the infantry. They do 4 damage from medium range. Going to be 6s. They could take them out very easily. Looking for 6s here. Going to have to roll over on this side. Got them. Got 3 out of the 4. That's enough to kill the infantry. These ones are gone too. Such a cost of human life. And that leaves this warrior with nothing to shoot at. Stuck behind this building with no targets. That's what the card wanted to do. I just followed the card. That's all I do. That's it for round 1. Time to get into round 2. All right, we are in the end phase. No heat or anything to speak of. No objectives have been completed. Let's take a look at the commander card. I think it's going to flip. Actually, I stand corrected. I thought there would be one here that said if you lost fewer point value than the enemy, which they did because they killed 2 of our infantry. But no, they're going to stay on card A, which has no orders whatsoever. None. Nothing. All right, round 2 approaches. Our patrol is returning. Colonel Mitch Nelson is going to get to come in from one of the long edges. I got to decide which one. And a very hostile dropship is going to make an appearance here on the map, and they can deploy their units as well. They're all going to have to deploy right next to it, but they can attack in round 2. So I believe things are about to get very, 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 very interesting. All right, I don't honestly remember if I've been doing the -2 for initiative, but I feel like because I'm playing Alpha Strike and basically using the full Aces rules that I would be. So we'll just say they get a -2 to this roll. And we win. All right, so we get to watch them move a little bit first. I am going to let them set down and have their full array of units available so that they can sync some of those initiatives, like those deployments can be initiative syncs for them, so they're not forced to move all this stuff over here at the beginning. All right, let's start doing some movement and we'll see what happens. All right, there's the first step of movement. The first Genyosha unit to come out, a Phoenix Hawk. Strikes terror into the heart of every Inner Sphere warrior. That's all right. We'll see what else they have. And then I move the Dervish off into here. Has to be on my half. Got a nice clean line of sight to that thing. Second step of movement done. The next Genyosha unit is a Battlemaster BLR-1G Classic. That's going to make things pretty interesting. I moved the Jägermech into the woods here. I think that is going to try to help out with what's going on over here. Just going to sit in the woods and try to plink something. Of course, we don't know where anything moved yet, but I've got a good feeling it'll be in decent position to do something. Third step done. The next Genyosha mech, the Dragon, the ultimate Draconis Combine mech. This is just the DRG-1N. I can't really use the cards to say where to go because they can't move. They're just deploying off the dropship. I am giving them their full TMM, as I'm sure you've seen. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of silly if they're just sitting there. They're walking off the dropship. I mean, they get their movement. So there you go. I moved the VTOL, the Warrior, up onto this. Kept it within medium range. I think of at least the Battlemaster and the Phoenix Hawk. So hopefully it can help out a little bit there. I am exposing its back. I probably should have set it kind of like that or something. Yeah, that's good. Okay, we'll keep moving. Of course, all the heavier mechs, their decks are going to get them out here a lot earlier and moving before the smaller stuff on the right. All right, the final Genyosha mech, a Marauder, MAD-3R. The Battlemaster is going to be the commander. Kind of makes sense. Got tons of armor and structure. I was thinking about making it the Marauder, but I wanted to make it fair in that the Banshee is our commander, which has so much armor and structure as well. There you go. All 4 of them are out there, all surrounding the dropship, ready to proceed and wreak some havoc. Of course, we can try to hide from them, but we do have to take them out. We can't just run away. I guess one strategy would be to try to eliminate what's over here and then try to take them out. The other strategy is to try to occupy them, and that's what I think I'm going to try to do. And I brought the Drillson up here right to the edge of the water. It had just enough movement to get there. Going to try to use that high TMM, close range to distract them a little bit until we can figure out exactly where they're going to go and get in position. Don't know if that's going to work. I tend to make poor decisions, but that's really the only high-speed unit I have that can traverse the water, and that has worked for me in the past, so I'm going to go with it. And by the way, you'll see the cards at some point, but the Battlemaster and Marauder both have a skill of 3. So they've got a lot more skill 3 units than we do. We just have the Banshee. All right, step 5, we had a little maneuvering in the city. The Demolisher wanted to attack the Warrior, it wanted to get cover, so I was able to move it just enough to get right up against that tree there, so it's in the woods, so to speak. Got its sights on the warrior. The skulker, then I moved it back there, kind of hit it, well, except from that VTOL, but it got in the rear of the demolisher, so hopefully it can get a couple of points there. That thing has a lot of armor, though. All right, more action in the city. The Panther also wanted to get the warrior. You know, this is just how the aces work sometimes, but it actually made a pretty good move. It wrapped around the building and got itself here, out of line of sight from everything except that warrior, obviously, and the Drillson, which has a turret, but otherwise did a pretty good job of tucking itself in there and making it hard for us to get eyes on it without opening up to the shooting gallery here from the Genyosha that are over there. So the Enforcer decided to similarly wrap around the building, tuck itself inside here, so those guys can't fire at it, and then get its eyes on the Panther to attack. Pretty interesting movement inside the city. All right, this one's gonna be kind of hard to show because it's at opposite ends of the map. They moved their warrior behind the Skulker. I'll show that in a second. I really couldn't figure out, I want the Hatchet Man to go last. I think I'm gonna take it in the city to deal with some of the stuff in there, but I don't wanna move it till this Galleon moves, because that's the last thing. It'll go right behind it if I don't wait. So I brought the Banshee on. I debated whether to hide it or put it right in the line of fire. I mean, it is our most important unit, because if it's destroyed, bad things happen. They get bonuses, but it also needs to soak damage. That's what it's here to do. And so I just moved it here. It's gonna be able to attack with the Dervish, and these guys are gonna be able to attack it. We'll reassess once we see how much damage they do. And then up in the top there, you can see the warrior went behind the Skulker. That Skulker could be toast. All right, just the last ones to go, the Galleon and the Hatchet Man. All right, kind of forgot about that Galleon when I was moving. It wanted to get behind the Jägermech, so very easy to do. That made me change tactics a little bit with the Hatchet Man because it needed to cover this, so I just took its full movement out here to block it from those guys, and then it can try to shoot and kill that Galleon. There's really nothing it can do in the city because those things got tucked away there. I mean, it could go for the Demolisher, but that's not a great matchup, to be honest with you, because a Demolisher could mess up the Hatchet Man pretty bad. So I think it's better if we let that Demolisher go after the Warrior, which is a really tough to hit target, and we'll deal with that later. Let's get into some combat. Should be fun. All right, the Phoenix Hawk is up for the Draconis Combine side. Once the lowest TMM within 24 inches, that is going to be the Commander Mitch Nelson in the Banshee. Sniper Cam does 2 points of damage from medium range. Going to need 8, getting a little bit of partial cover, even though it doesn't look like it from here. His legs are pretty covered by that hill, so 8s it is. Can the Phoenix Hawk start putting some damage on the Commander? Yes, it can. 1 point to the Banshee. The Commander and the Battlemaster is up next. Same story. It's on the yellow list, but it wants most armor, which is the Banshee again. Should we do a Sniper Cam again? Why not? There we go. This is only going to be 7s because it has a skill of 3. Maybe I shouldn't have put him there. 3 damage from medium range. Let's see what the Battlemaster can do. That's going to be 3 points of damage. Uh-oh. Commander, that was such an excellent shot. I will follow your lead. The Dragon also going for the Banshee. It's a pylon. 2 damage from medium range. 8s. Let's see if Colonel Mitch Nelson starts shaking in his boots. Needs 8s to hit. There's my bed rolling. The Marauder is up next. Luckily, I positioned that hill between it and the Banshee, so he can't go after it. Gonna make a weird move here. Doesn't want the Drillson. Actually wants the Warrior up there on top of the building. It's just within 24 inches by design. It wants the lowest armor, so that's what it's going to shoot at. Going to be some tough numbers there. Long shot coming in here, but just the max of medium range. Going to be 9s to hit. It does 3 damage from medium range. Here goes the Marauder. Missed them all. Yeah, missed everything. All right, now maybe these Genyosha, they aren't really as good as they say they are. The Demolisher is up next, making some questionable decisions here. It wants to go out 24 inches and get the thing with the least armor. That's going to be this Warrior. That is going to be a tough shot. I was thinking it might go for the Skulker behind it with the turret, but lowest armor is the Warrior. These are going to be 10s to hit. On the plus side, it does have 4 damage from medium range. Needs a 10. It did get a 10, but just 1. But it's going to get a motive check. This motive check will be a +2. If it rolls a 10 again, the Warrior's gone. Just a 6, that's going to bump it up to an 8. That's still no motive hit. All right, the Panther wanted the Warrior during movement. Wants the Warrior again. It's on the blue list, which is highest move, The warrior's tied with the drillson, but then it wants lowest structure. That's going to be the warrior. Going to be 9s to hit. Does 2 from medium range. It's kind of a weird set of decisions here on the ace's part. Needs 9s. Missed them both. Warrior's going to attack the skulker from short range. Going to need 7s. Just does 1 damage. Here we go. Gets it. Going to roll a motive check on this. Needs a 9 or higher. Nothing. Finally, the galleon's going to go, attacking the Jägermech in the rear. Gets a bonus damage. Going to do 3 total. Is going to need 6s thanks to their commander's prowess. Gets 2 damage to the Jägermech. There's what they were able to accomplish. Decent amount of armor damage, but it could have been so much worse. Now we got to make this count and really pound them. On the 12th Vegan Ranger side, let's start with the Hatchet Man. Look at that Hatchet. It's going after the Galleon there, which just hit its buddy in the Jägermech from behind. Does 2 damage from medium range. Going to need 8s. If it gets both, it will take this thing out. Can you do it, Hatchet Man? This is our pilot, Choppa. Get to the Choppa and take this thing out. Oh, really close, but only got 1. But that is an internal hit, so it's going to get a motive and critical check. Motive's going to be the purple. Critical is going to be the green. Purple does nothing. A 9. I think it's just a weapon hit on the Galleon. Skulker crew is ready.
Let's go, guys. Let's hit this big behemoth.
Gonna attack the Juggernaut Demolisher. Gets a rear shot, so it's gonna do 2 damage. I think this is at medium range. Nope, that's in short range. I made sure it was in short range. Does 2 damage because it's hitting in the rear. Needs 6s. Oh, look at this Skulker crew. There is something else. 2 points to the Demolisher. The Enforcer likes what he sees from the Skulker crew. Gonna go after the Demolisher as well. Gonna be 8s to hit for medium range. Does 2 damage. Here we go. Let's get some 8s. That's what I'd like to see. You know what? I forgot to roll a motive hit. Hold on. All right, this is the motive hit from the Skulker. Got nothing. Okay, that's going to be the motive hit as well. This is going to be the critical. So the purple is the critical chance. Blue is the motive. Too bad that's not actually killing them, but I think that stuns them or something. Let me check that. Dang it. Why didn't I save these rolls for the Battle Master? That thing would be dead now. Darn it. Anyway, 12 is pretty serious for the Demolisher. Cuts everything in half. Its movement, its TMM, its damage values. And if we get another one, it destroys units, but that's going to pretty much make that thing useless for the rest of the battle. Its big advantage is it's 4 damage, but now it's only 2, and it is going to barely be able to move from that spot. Welcome to the Team Enforcer. Getting a round of applause over comms. Loving this guy. Way to go. This is Impact, by the way. I got to start saying the call signs. I haven't been doing that in this campaign too much, but that's Impact. Amazing. Warrior's going to pile on. Going to attack the Demolisher as well. Going to have the same numbers. Needs an 8. Only does 1 damage. Let's see what it can do. Oh, just missed. All right, as I was thinking about what to do with the Drillson, I realized I made a mistake. So first I was thinking maybe I'll go after one of the Ganyosha that have come off the dropship, or I will go ahead after the Galleon and just try to finish it off. But then I thought, wait a minute. The Galleon is supposed to try to kamikaze units, and it definitely had enough to get here. 10 inches would have gotten it to the Jägermech. So on its movement, it should have done that, which changes 2 things. Number 1, it would have charged and tried to do up to 4 damage to the Jägermech, and the Hatchet Man would definitely not have gone over here to shoot at it. It would have gone somewhere like that to just avoid line of sight from pretty much everything. So I'm going to walk that back. There's 2 ways I can handle this. I could just go back and look at the rolls that were made. In this case, it was the red dice are the primary dice for the Combine, so it would have missed because it only rolled a 3 on the red dice. And then I can say the other dice would have been the roll for the explosion, which was successful because it was a 9 and a 10. So I could say it just does 2 damage anyway because the explosion hits, but the charge misses. Or I could re-roll it. The Hatchet Man, also I hit a 9, and the only thing it could attack would be the VTOL over there. And that would at least be a 10. So I think I can just kind of leave it as a wash. I guess I got lucky. The only thing I'm going to change is that the Hatchet Man will go there because this was going to die no matter what happened. There would be no reason for me to shoot at it. So I think we're okay. Does that all make sense? I always love when I give these long-winded explanations of my screw-ups. I'm sure you do too. All right, with that out of the way, back to the Drillson. It could go for the Panther, but I think I'm going to get started on the Battle Master, the Commander. We got to take this thing out, so why not get started now? Does 2 damage from medium range. Going to need 8s to hit this. All right, Drillson, what kind of stuff are you made of? Ooh, gets 1 pip. Battlemaster has a lot of armor. What do you see the card, by the way? It's all destroyed from my kids. All right, the Jaeger mech unfortunately has no target, so it's just going to sit here and get bombed by the Kamikaze Galleon. So that leaves the Dervish, who is going to go for the Battlemaster. Sniper cam engage. Has a clear line of sight to this, so he's just going to need 7s to make this attack. Does 2 damage from medium range. Let's chop some more armor off of this Battlemaster. 7s it is. 7s it isn't. Come on, Dervish pilot. This is why we held you out of the last track. All right, the Colonel Mitch Nelson in the Banshee going after his fellow commander, the Battlemaster. Does 4 damage from medium range. It does have partial cover from that hill, so it will also be 7s. This could be a big one if we get some good rolls here. Let's go, Colonel. Ooh, not good at all. Just 1. Oh man, this round was starting off good, but ending very badly. All right, there's how we did. There's the Battlemaster card. My kids just, they never wipe it clean. And when we tried to do it, yeah, that's what happened. Anyway, I'll keep track of it. It's all good. The big news is the Demolisher, very crippled at this point. Not actually crippled that it has to leave, but it got a lot of armor damage, took an engine hit, and the Galleon destroyed itself by smashing into the Jaeger mech. I'd say this round was a wash. I think they maybe have the upper hand right now, but I guess we did get a unit off the map. All right, exciting stuff. The Genosha are out. Demolisher got almost crippled. Galleon exploded. Let me take that one off of there. Had a rules mix up. Luckily, it wasn't too bad. Good thing when you're recording, you know what the dice rolls were, so I could sort it all out. But luckily, not too much changed. Of course, we were in the combat phase, so we could always go back and switch things up. As for the commander card in the end phase, it says if you lost more point value of units this turn, the Galleon would count. So they're going to switch on over to card C, which is actually a more defensive card. They probably should be behaving a little more aggressively, but that's okay. All right, now things are going to get real. Everything's kind of out here. The Genosha can start moving. We still got stuff to deal with over here. It's not like we can forget about it. And this is where it's going to get interesting because we have most of our stuff here in the center and they're coming in from both sides. Now they have the river, of course, that they're going to have to navigate. But for the most part, they're going to be doing a pincer on us and we're going to be getting attacked from both sides. So if we want to hide behind hills, we could try to do that. It might honestly be smart to just hide everything here, take this stuff out, and then make our move. We'll see. Let's roll initiative first. I won, so I'm getting a -2. And that's a tie, so we lose. We have to move first. We have 8 units, they have 7. So we will have to move 2 to start. All right, cleared the dice, and I updated the tracker. I'm so proud of myself. All right, the first step of movement, it was difficult to figure out what I should move first. I figured these 2 aren't great options because I want them available to kind of deal with this stuff over here. So I decided the VTOL was a good one to move. I had to go this way. That might get these units to start going in that direction. We'll see about that. I thought about cheesing it a little with the Drillson and maybe moving it over here because they would definitely pick up on it. I've done that before and they'll start moving toward it. But then I thought, you know what, I'm gonna jump the Dervish over here because it can get a high modifier when it jumps, and I got it in the woods and hopefully with some partial cover. So if they can take the bait there and try to go for it, that might give me an opportunity to get things in a better position. That was my thought. The Demolisher made a great move, which was it had a unit in 24 inches that moved. It had it in targeting range, and it was already occupying woods, so it just stood still. It can barely move anyway, so why not get the bonus for standing still? There you go. Exciting first move. All right, check this out. I didn't know what to do with the Drillson, but it's real hard to figure out what units to move. I said that in the last round of movement. It's tough when you don't have initiative. I decided to swing the Drillson out to there. I have line of sight to the Dragon, maybe the Phoenix Hawk. They might not take the bait and he could be left doing nothing, but he does have a shot at the Demolisher as a last resort. Then the Sniper, the Panther, did something crazy and it wanted to get out of range of unmoved enemies within 12 inches. It wasn't possible because of the Enforcer and the Skulker. It could get away from the Enforcer over here and the Skulker over here, but it couldn't move far enough to get over here. So it just wasn't able to do that. So its next instruction was get to the highest elevation and jump if needed. So it jumped right up there. That's the highest elevation on the map, I believe. Maybe tied with this. There you go. It wanted to have targeting range to as many allies as possible. It has it to all of them. And now it can attack so many things. That was cool. That was a real cool move by the Aces. I don't think I've gotten that one before. I don't think I've ever triggered that. All right, everyone's getting tricky now. Impact, our enforcer, just moved over here, just kept its butt in the woods here to get cover, and just got in short range to the Panther. Hopefully, you can get a nice swing at that. That's going to be 3 points of damage coming in. It is in line of sight for the Marauder, but that's a long range shot, so if it wants to try it, go for it. I think I kept it out of the Demolisher's line. Yeah, it's got the building in the way there. So that protects it from the Demolisher, gives it a good shot at the Panther. The Battlemaster was up next, and I didn't mark it. It wanted to pick up on the Dervish. It was looking for a unit within 12 inches, and the Dervish was the only one. It wanted to get closer to it, but keep unmoved enemies outside of 12 inches, which was tough because of the Hatchet Man. It's like right in this range here, so its only option was to come this way, and I got a little partial cover to engage with the Dervish. All right, next round is done. Got to aim up for that VTOL, but the Skulker ended up moving over here. I decided to move it now because that warrior is going to chase it down no matter what. It always goes last. So I bumped it up against the building to try to prevent a rear shot and just give it a chance to hit the Panther for an extra point. And then the Phoenix Hawk went on the Combine side, and it wanted to be 6 inches from an ally in the woods with targeting on the Dervish. And it was able to do that. I need to adjust its facing, though. I always forget to adjust facing. I'm such a classic player. So there you go. Getting down to the end here on the movement. All right, another round done. I moved a Jaeger mech to here to get line of sight onto the Phoenix Hawk. And I think I was able to isolate pretty well, except from the Panther. Sorry, I need to adjust the facing again. Keep the Panther in line just in case. And then the Marauder went, and of course it picked the Jaeger mech and went out 18 inches. I was hoping like 12 or 14. It wanted the Jaeger mech, and it wanted to get cover. It wanted to go in the woods, but it can't. It doesn't have enough movement. So it went this way and hugged up against that hill. And there you go. That's unfortunate because I don't think that Jaeger mech is going to do too well against the Marauder. I am probably not doing this right because I should take advantage of the rivers and go this way. I think I'm going to take the Hatchet Man that way now that I can kind of see where they're headed. We're going to hope the Jaeger mech survives. I don't think it will. It's going to be in trouble. All right, Hatchet Man went this way to help with the Panther. We're hoping we can take that thing out. It was able to stay out of line of sight from the Demolisher. So the Demolisher is only going to really have the VTOL, the warrior, in its range. So that's good. Of course, it only does 2 damage now. It's not as intimidating. And then the Dragon went, and it wanted to get 18 inches from the warrior and get cover from as many enemies as possible. So it ended up going this direction and tucking itself here behind the hill. All right, now comes the Banshee. I think I'm just going to go ahead and move it right here. And I think I can keep it out of range of most things and isolate the Phoenix Hawk, maybe the Marauder, probably just the Phoenix Hawk. All right, there you have it. Movement is done. I moved the Banshee up here just like I said I would. I'm just going to go after that Phoenix Hawk. That's a nice direct target for him. And the Warrior, you know, the Aces cards have such good condition checks, but they just don't use them. It's so frustrating. It checked for the Banshee, the destroy objective, but then it only goes out 14 inches, so it picks up on the Skulker. Meanwhile, it has 18 inches of movement. It could zoom over here and harass him, and that would be a great play. That's how I would use the VTOL. But they just don't do that, and it's so unfortunate. So it just wanted to be able to attack the Skulker and get out of line of sight of everything else. So I dropped it down 1 level above the ground, or 1 inch above the ground, and just put it next to the Skulker. Can't really do anything else. That's what it wants to do. All right, this will be a very interesting round of combat. This is probably going to really swing the momentum in one direction or the other. If they can do a lot over here, that's going to really put us to the test. If we can clean up over here, that will help us. And if we survive what happens over here, I think we'll be in the driver's seat. But it's all up to the dice. All right, we're up first. We're going to go to Impact here in the Enforcer, going after this crazy Panther pilot that decided to jump up on top of the building. Going to do 3 damage here from short range. Just going to need 6s to hit this. All right, Impact, can you keep it up? 6s. Okay, you got 2. Don't like those snake eyes, but that's cool. You got 2. That's going to strip all the armor from the Panther. The Skulker's like,
Did someone say critical?
they're going to go after the Panther as well. Going to be a medium range shot, so they're going to need an 8 for that one little bit of damage they do. Can the Skulker keep up the run of excellence? Needs an 8. Look at these guys. They're amazing. All right. I think the Skulker's the MVP so far. This is a critical shot on the Panther. Got an 8. That's a weapon hit. All right, and finally we got Chopsticks in the Hatchet Man. I think I said it was Choppa the last time. I mean, at least I got to make that get to the Choppa joke. That never gets old, right? But this is actually Chopsticks. Hatchet Man also going after the Panther. We're going to see if we can finally take this commander down. You know, even if we only hit one here, but we roll a weapon critical, that's enough to put it into force withdrawal. It would have no damage at any range. All right, there's been some inspiring stuff going on here. Let's see if the Hatchet Man can continue. Just 8 does 2 damage at medium range. Can we do this? Just got the 1. But now that I think about it, if I get 1, regardless of a weapon hit, it's already in force withdrawal. Okay, let's see what we get. A 4. That's a fire control hit. This thing is kind of messed up now. I love when I get all these dice out, at least for their units. I don't like when it's on mine. But there you go. Weapon hit, fire control hit, and force withdrawal. That's the blue dice. So it is crippled. So this will count against their points for completing the primary objective, 75% of their force by point value. All right, the Drillson's up next. It doesn't have a whole lot of options, but it does have the Demolisher in its sights. Can just see beyond that hill to the left. Demolisher sitting still in the woods there. Just going to be a 7 to hit this for medium range. The Drillson does 2 damage. All right, any damage will go critical on this Demolisher. Needs 7s. Got 1. Got 2. That's 2 damage to the Demolisher, and that is going to put it into force withdrawal. So we crippled 2 units in this round. Very good. Going to roll the motive and the critical hit. So the yellow will be the motive, the green will be the critical. Well, it doesn't matter. It's dead. Second engine hit on the Demolisher and a weapon hit. But it's destroyed. That's 2 engine hits. That's unbelievable. That's treated as a destroyed unit. You know, I was going to use the Warrior first to attack the Demolisher, and I'm really glad I stopped myself and did the Drillson. That's why you have the stuff that hits harder go first, because even if I didn't get that engine hit, hitting 2 would have put it into force withdrawal. So there you go. All right, we've taken out 53 points so far. So that's about a quarter of their overall force. The Warrior is going to go after the Commander. Just going to need 7s to hit it. Does 1 point of damage from medium range. All right, this round's been pretty crazy for us. Let's see if we can keep it going. 7 to hit the Battlemaster. Yes, we keep it going. Another 1 to the Battlemaster. I think that's 4 armor. It's got 8. The Dervish is up next. It jumped into these woods. Got the Battlemaster staring it down. Gonna go after it. Needs 8s. It's getting a little partial cover from the hill there. I could overheat by 1, but I think I'm gonna hold off just in case I want to keep jumping this guy around. So it's gonna be 8s, 2 damage from medium range. That was actually 3 armor damage to the Battlemaster, not 4. But let's keep the good times rolling here. 8s. Wow, this is an incredible round. Unbelievable. 2 damage and a critical chance. Let's just roll another 12. Let's go. Oh my God. Well, that's going to pretty much swing this mission. The 12 again. The 12s are everywhere. Why do I roll so many in Alpha Strike and I roll none in Classic? The Battlemaster's dead. His poor cockpit just totally crunched by missiles. I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. But I shouldn't say that because I did it so many times in the Scouring Sands campaign. Holy crap. Dead. By the way, I keep forgetting about the call signs. You know what the Dervish's call sign is? Hole punch. Can you think of a better call sign after that? This is seriously a round for the ages. Jägermech is up. It's going after the Marauder. Kind of peeking around the corner there. Just has enough of it to hit, but obviously getting some partial cover. Going to be 8s to hit with the partial cover. The Jägermech, as much as people make fun of it, does 3 damage from medium range. It's actually pretty sweet offensively. All right, I feel some more 12s coming on. Here we go. 3 points of damage, needs 8s. This is absolutely incredible. All 3 hit, and I rolled a critical. Can we do it? I thought for a second I had it. That's no critical hit. But 3 points of damage to that Marauder. Wow. And lastly, the big boy, Colonel Mitch Nelson in the Banshee, grinning from ear to ear at his unit's performance. Going to go after the Phoenix Hawk in the woods there. Also going to be 8s, does 4 damage from medium range. By the way, the commander has a 3 skill. That's why it's 8s. All right, let's go. 4 damage. Can we take all the armor away? Do as I say, not as I do. An absolute nightmare round for the Draconis Combine. Battlemaster head capped by hole punch in the Dervish. Panther ganged up on and put into force withdrawal, and the Demolisher destroyed by a second engine hit. The 12s are flying all over. Hey, the 12th Vegan Rangers. Now I know why they're called that. I get it. The Demolisher's up right as its engines are giving out, shutting the unit down. It's going to fire at the Drillson, the thing that took it out. Going to try to get a little bit of revenge on it, but it only does 2 damage because of that previous engine hit. Going to be 8s to hit. 2 damage. Let's see if it can put a motive hit on that Drillson. Gets 1. We'll roll up the motive hit. This is getting a +1 because it's a hover. That goes to a 9. That'll do -2 inches and -1 TMM for the Drillson. Panther's only going out 6 inches, so it's going to get the Enforcer impact. Going to have some impact coming in. No weapon hit at the start of this round, so it's going to do its 2 full damage at short range. Going to need 8s, even from short range. The Enforcer's been a real star here. It has a ton of armor, so even if it hits both of these, it's not really a big deal. Needs 8s. Ooh, got 1 of them. The commander and his battle master sees all the missiles coming right for his cockpit. Just before they impact, he torso twists to the left and gets ready to fire at the warrior. Yep, that's right. I'll show you the card. Going out 24 inches and wants the lowest armor. That would be the warrior. Thing is, the dervish has a high modifier and it's in the woods, so the numbers are actually the same either way. So, wow, let's see if it can take this helicopter out. All right, needs 9s to hit this. If it gets 1 of them, it's critical. If it gets 2 of them, it's dead. 3 damage from medium range. Needs 9s. Gets 1 of them and 1 only. Not sure this was a great use of the commander. The blue will be the motive. The yellow will be the critical. This gets a +2 on the blue dice. Ooh, okay. That's going to cut the movement in half and reduce the TMM by half. The 8 is just a weapon hit, but that makes the chopper into force withdrawal because it has no weapon damage anymore. So that will have to get out of here. All right, the Phoenix Hawk is going out 24 inches. So I thought I was going for the helicopter too, but it wants the most armor lost, which is the commander. He's already lost 4 armor. So this is going to be 7s to hit, does 2 damage from medium range. 2 damage. I took the yellow dice out because they're hot. I don't want them using them. Needs 7s. Got 1. All right, the Marauder is up, looking for the lowest TMM. Well, it wants to destroy objective, but I'm going to call it that they can't really attack the Banshee. It's just covered too much by that hill. And so it's going to go for the Jägermech. Just going to need 7s, does 3 damage from medium range. Okay, if it hits all of these, the Jägermech will be in force withdrawal. Here we go, need 7s. That's all of them. Jägermech's in force withdrawal. Also going to get a critical hit. All right, let's see what it can do. Weapon hit on the Jägermech. Commander, no. Dragon is going for the destroy objective. It can see it. Will attack the Banshee. Needs 8s, does 2 points from medium range. See what it can do here. Banshee still has some armor left. So much armor. That is going to be 1 hit. The moment you've been waiting for. The warrior attacking the skulker. So exciting. 1 point of damage from short range. Gonna need a 7. I'm just gonna roll it right here. That's not good. That's not good. Misses. Skulker survives, although it would have survived even if it got hit. Hold up. I forgot something. I, for whatever reason, never remember to look at the overheat instructions, but obviously the Battle Master would overheat because it's dead. So there's no reason for it to not overheat. So I'm gonna roll 1 for it against the warrior, and then the Marauder should have overheated against the Jägermech. So I'm going to roll 1 more. They can both overheat by 1, so I'm going to roll 1 more each. So the Battle Master needed a 9 to hit the VTOL. It misses. And the Marauder only needed a 7 to hit the Jägermech. It hits it. Okay, doesn't get another critical chance, but the Jägermech is down to 2 structure. Wow, what a crazy round for us. I mean, that just was unbelievable. Took me back to the Scouring Sands days where I just was rolling 12s left and right for everybody. Craziness. Okay, well, the Battle Master's dead. The Demolisher is dead. The Panther is in force withdrawal. And our Warrior is in force withdrawal. You probably can't see it. Sorry, it's a little bit up there with the Drillson. All right, they're in big trouble. So like I said, they've lost 93 points. We have only lost 15 from the Warrior. Oh no, we lost the Jägermech too. Sorry, I forgot to mention the Jägermech's in force withdrawal. Okay, so that puts it at 41 for us. 93 to 41. Percentage-wise, let me check. Okay, we've destroyed about 44% of their units, and they've destroyed about 19% of ours by point value. That's where things stand now. We have killed the commander, so we get the 300 SPs for that. So we're already working back on some of our payment. At this point, I might be able to voluntarily take the Banshee off the map. I don't want to get too cocky, but I could deny them the ability to get that same objective. So things are looking really, really good for the 12th Vegan Rangers right now. Not looking good for that tree, though. What happened there? Okay, but that's it. I've all cleaned up the heat. Like I mentioned, the Battle Master overheated and the Marauder. So that is the only thing that has any heat. Let's roll up initiative. They won last time, so they get a -2. We got a 7, they got an 8. That's going to turn to a 6 for them. We win initiative. Look at me updating the track. I did say before going into that round of combat that the dice were going to talk, but I think they roared in this case. All right, I will do movement. I'm probably just going to do all the movement and then summarize. I feel like it's getting a little too long here with me explaining every single move that I make. So I will summarize the movement and we'll get into some more combat and see what happens. All right, there is the movement for round 4. It was very skirmishy, for lack of a better word. The aces were trying to play keep away a little bit, get in good lines of sight, but get cover and try to keep away a little bit, like stay 12 to 18 inches. And we were okay with that because I feel like we kind of have it at this point. I don't see how they could overrun us and get a whole lot of support points. Their real key is the Banshee here. They could get some points for that, but I don't see them getting 75% of us, or certainly not 100. And I'm not really committing to an all-out assault at this point either, because I want to keep our repair costs down if possible. But I did move, these two are pretty easy. They're in force withdrawal. I sprinted the warrior because it can't do any damage anymore. So there's no sense in doing anything other than sprinting, but it's down to 9 inches of movement. So I could only move it, 13.5 inches. Jägermech, I'd used regular movement into here. They moved the Phoenix Hawk first. It wanted to get away from the Banshee. It wanted nearest and get out into the woods about 18 inches away. That's where it could go there. The Panther then jumped down here, wanted to get in the woods. I jumped the Enforcer up here just to keep the whole field in play. It might just attack that and get rid of it. Always a chance that the pilot gets killed or wounded and can't participate in the next track, which would be good. And then everything else just kind of moved in an okay position, tried to get some cover. And we're just going to, again, let the dice do the talking and see what we can make happen. I mean, really, if we can get, I think, this thing out of here, that's pretty much going to do it. I feel like they would want to retreat at that point. I know they're combine units and they have a lot of honor, but I can't see how they would want to just stick around here. In any case, they're up first. Let's see what they can do to us. Phoenix Hawk is up first. It is going out 6 inches, but can't attack the Drillson in the rear. It's going to go 24. Once most armor lost, we know who that is. The Banshee. Mr. Mitch Nelson. Sniper cam incoming. Does 2 damage at medium range. He's up on the hill, so those trees won't come into play. Just going to be 8s to hit this. All right, 2 points coming in on the Banshee, which is low on armor. Got 1. I guess I can't get the other one. 1 point to the Banshee. The Marauder, as it should, going after the Banshee as well, once a unit attacked by an ally this turn. Colonel Nelson getting blasted here. There is a chance this could go critical. He only has 1 pip of armor left. These are just 7s because the Marauder has a lower skill. So, gotta be careful. Whoops, I dropped a dice. There we go. That is 2. That's going to go internal. We're going to get a critical hit. Can they do to our commander what we did to theirs? You never know. 1 in 36 chance. Whoa, that was close. That is an engine hit. So that's just +1 heat per round. I feel like I should have been more careful with the commander. The Panther also going for it. I got to say, the Aces are doing a good job prioritizing the destroy objective. This is the blue list, which is destroy objective. The good news is the Panther has a fire control hit and a weapon hit, so it can only do 1 damage, needs an 8. Oh boy, I thought that would be that might be a critical again. That's 1 point, but they get another critical chance. These 6s are rolling. A 5-0. Whew. A battle for the ages. Warrior versus Skulker. Needs a 7 to hit. I'll just roll it here again. Got it. 1 to the Skulker. That's all its armor. And you know what's interesting is I don't know how this works, but technically it has half its structure rounded up. Its structure is 1 divided by 1 is half. So do you round up and it's in force withdrawal? I have no idea, but I'll probably just move it off the map next round anyway. Last up is the Dragon. It also wants the Banshee. Everything is keying on it. That's good. I mean, the Aces are doing a good job on the destroy objective. You know, what's really important is that the first unit does it. If the first unit attacks it, then you get everything. Got a clean line of sight here. This will just be 7s to hit. Does 2 damage from medium range. If it makes both of these, that will put the Banshee into force withdrawal. And it did. It got 2. So that's going to put the Banshee in force withdrawal. He has to retreat. It does not count as any points, though. They have to destroy him. So he'll have to start escaping, but that might be their go-to in the next round. Just try to take it out and secure some points and then get out of here. We interrupt this broadcast to bring attention to a rules goof up. I forgot the Marauder had 1 point of heat. It should have needed 8s to hit the Banshee. That's part 1. I also forgot that it can only move 6 inches, so I adjusted its movement to just go back here. It wanted to get as far away as it could, basically, from the Banshee. Okay, so those are 2 things. Now, I went back and watched the rolls. It rolled a 10, a 7, and a 5, I think. So it only hit 1. However, on the card, it wants to overheat again this round. So I'm going to take 1 pip away from the Banshee for now, which would take it out of force withdrawal. And then I'm going to roll 1 more point for the overheat to see if it gets an 8 or higher. No, you see, it couldn't just roll an 8 so that everything could just stay the way it was. All right. Well, the Banshee actually is not in force withdrawal. It's going to be short 1 pip, unfortunately, for the Draconis Combine side. Now we'll come back and roll the critical hit that I forgot for the dragon. Okay, here comes the critical hit. I thought it might get 12, but you know what? What happens when you get 2 engine hits? How many can you get? It only has 1 box. That can't be good. Does that mean this is destroyed? Commander, are you okay? The fusion reactor explodes in a nuclear fire. Unbelievable. This is 4 engine hits in this battle. Colonel Nelson goes down, scratching off another commander. Craziness. That's what they were able to do. Everything focused on the Banshee except for the Warrior. Took the Banshee out with 2 engine hits. Still had structure remaining, but those 2 engine hits are what did it. And the Skulker took its last pip of armor damage. Poor little thing. I can't believe I can't believe it. What a crazy battle. So he's gone, so they get some points. And he's back. Yeah, he still gets to attack. And he has nothing to lose now, so I get to take advantage of mass overheating. Let's just go for the Marauder. Low TMM. It does have the woods in the way. If you look at it like this, that's kind of over his shoulder there. The woods are in the way, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Overheating 2, going to do 6 points of damage from medium range. Let's do this. Go out in a blaze of glory, as a great musician once said. Or not so great, depending on your perspective. Okay, I had to go back and make sure that both of those engine hits happened in this round, so there is no heat penalty. No heat has happened. Sorry, as I'm sure you've gathered, I record these over many, many lunch breaks, so sometimes I kind of forget what happened. Anyway, 6 pairs of dice, needs 7s, that's it. Coming in. Ooh, I'm only seeing 1 miss. That one right there. Everything else hits. That's 5 points of damage on the Marauder. That's going internal. Drillson's going to go next in the back of that Phoenix Hawk. Going to do 3 damage at short range. Going to need 7s. It has cover and a decent TMM, but can start chipping away at the Phoenix Hawk. I am glad I left myself a nice spot for the dice tray on this battle. Some of my classic ones, I'm forgetting to do that. There they go. Ugh, not good. Just 1 pip. Chopsticks is up in the Hatchet Man. Going to go for the Phoenix Hawk as well. Can't quite see the Marauder, but it can see the Phoenix Hawk way over there. There we go. I think this is going to be 11s to hit, if you can believe it. Real bad numbers. I don't have high hopes, but we've been rolling pretty great, so 11s it is. Nah. Punch hole in the Dervish. Unfortunately, can't see the Marauder because of that hill in the way, but can go for the Dragon here and is going to overheat to do 3 damage here at medium range. Going to be 9s to hit. Dragon has pretty decent armor, not like it's in any danger here, but you never know. Somehow I lost the dice. Where the heck did it go? There it is. Okay, needs a 6. Ooh, almost. All right, the Marauder is in force withdrawal. It has half its structure rounded up remaining, and I got to roll up the critical hit here. 7. There. That's an MP hit. I'm going to slow down its retreat. All right, I'm trying to run the numbers in my head here because I think 100% is in reach for us, although those units being so close to the edge of the map is going to make it hard to actually destroy or cripple them. In any case, Skulker's going to try to take the Panther out permanently. Can't really shoot at anything else. Just going to need 7s at short range. You know, if it weren't for the Dervish hole punching the Battle Master, that's going to be a new BattleTech term, or a new Alpha Strike term, hole punching. The Skulker would be the MVP. All right, just needs a 7 to take this out. Success. The Skulker, I think, has actually hit every single point of damage. Absolutely amazing. The Panther and that stupid commander are dead. All right, the Jägermech is retreating, but it's going to take a long-range shot here at the Dragon. Did take a weapon hit, though, so it can only do 2 damage from medium range. Going to be 9s to hit. 2 damage coming in. All misses. impact, looking out on all the glorious destruction and smiling. Gonna go after the Phoenix Hawk. It's just within 24 inches. It looks like it's so far away, but it is within 24 inches. Not gonna be a great shot, but it has the lowest armor left of the dangerous units, the high value units that we're trying to get rid of. So it's gonna give it a go. Same problem as the Hatchet Man here. Super high numbers, needs 11s, but you know what? I trust impact. Well, I tell you, it just shoots right over its head. Scared it a little bit. There's a destruction we were able to do. Really nothing that great, to be honest with you. We kind of missed a lot, but the Banshee definitely went out swinging, put a pounding on that Marauder. And you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, it's not in force withdrawal. I think my eyes were crossed or something, but yeah, not quite in force withdrawal yet. Okay, I was just about to count up the numbers, but it has one more pip before that happens. Okay, that changes things. Got one on the Dragon, one on the Phoenix Hawk, one on the Panther, and that was enough to take it out. Way to go, Skulker. Well, that was another exciting round. Wow. This is when I thought we had it in the bag to get 100%. They take our commander out with 2 engine hits. Epic. I mean, at least our commander's not dead, so we have that going for us. I did put the Skulker into force withdrawal. I guess if it only has 1 structure, you would assume if it's reduced to half its structure rounding up, that means when its armor is gone, it's in force withdrawal. So I guess it was here behind the building. It should have gone off the map. I brought it back on and killed the Panther. But on the other hand, I think the Marauder, because it only actually hit 1 when I went back, since I forgot the heat, it technically didn't get into structure. So when it rolled that engine hit, I'm not sure that it actually did that. I'd have to go back and watch the whole thing over again. But let's just call those 2 things even, because that was really fun and we have to keep it in the canon. Now we arrive to the point that I always struggle with, which is, what do we do? Would the Combine continue to fight here? In the lore, sure. They would probably keep fighting. They're honor bound. If they go back and say, we ran away from these mercenaries, yeah, you know what's going to happen. They're going to be on their knees with a giant sword, and that's going to be the end of them. But from a game perspective, I don't think they can realistically destroy 75% of my units. The Banshee helped a lot, but all the rest of my mechs are in really good shape. They have very little armor taken away. The Marauder is on its last legs. Literally, it can't move. I mean, it can't move. It's going to die this round. It's gone. And that's going to mean that I can pretty much take out either the Dragon or the Phoenix Hawk, and that'll be enough to accomplish the objective. Yeah, I just did the math. Assuming we take the Marauder out, which will be a sitting duck, almost an automatic kill, we will be 23 points away from achieving the 75%. So that means we just would have to take out the Dragon or the Phoenix Hawk. They, on the other hand, are in the 90s, I believe. They're at 86. Sorry, they're at 86. But like I said, they have a long road. I mean, they have to get somewhere around the same place, like 150 something. And it's just going to be very, very difficult for them to do that, especially with the Marauder overheating. It's going to be hard to hit things. I just feel like the writing is on the wall, and they would realize this. And the best they can do is just run a unit off so we can't get 100%, but we're surely going to get 75. So I think at this point, we're going to call it. They're going to regroup, wait for the second Ganyosha, and try to do better next time. They have some tricks up their sleeve that they can use, and we'll go from there. I enjoyed this battle a lot. I thought this was fun. I hope you liked it. I know it was kind of a standard stand-up fight. We just get together and brawl, but there were so many good rolls, so much action, so much craziness. And if the rolling was on the other side, I think they would have wiped us out. It's just the way it goes sometimes. So I feel like this was a little more balanced than the other 2 missions. I mean, it was just kind of a fight with pretty even PVs. I mean, I did throw the infantry in there. Maybe I shouldn't have done that because they wasted some shots on that. But other than that, I think we had 217, they had 210. But they also had 3 units with a skill of 3, and we only had 1. It was all up to the dice. The dice decided the 12th Vegan Rangers would be victorious today. I had a great time. Hope you did too. I will do the after track stuff. I'm going to try to do it quick now because sometimes I forget to do it. And then I have to go back and rewatch the whole video to remember what the heck happened. So I'm going to try to not do that this time. There's going to be a lot of salvage on our side. I think we're going to say that we hold the field. So we'll be doing the salvaging. We'll probably try to ransom maybe something. But yeah, I've got a good idea of what I want to do in the next track. It's going to be interesting, I think. I might give you a clue in a minute here when I do the outro. And let me know what you think about that. And I think we don't totally get off scot-free here. Yeah, we're going to lose only 300 points, I think. We're going to get 700 total, so we'll only lose 300 on the track. They're going to lose a lot. They're going to lose 700. But that's what it is in war. War is tough. It's expensive. But we're going to have to hope that we can salvage that Banshee. Going to be a tough roll on that one. And they're going to have to make do with what they have. But the good thing is they're the up for, so I can make them have whatever I want to make it interesting. No, I'm just kidding. They still have a lot of good stuff left, so they're going to be okay. All right, well, that's it. Thanks as always for watching. Let me know what you thought of the battle, and we'll see you on the next one.
Fall back. Fall back to the dropship, and don't mention a word of this to anyone.
But I don't understand. Why didn't the dropship help us with the battle?
Enough of that. Stop asking questions. It's necessary for the plot. Now do what I said. These dishonorable fools have other problems to worry about.